When corporate rivals Sophia Chen and James Morrison get trapped in an elevator, their professional hatred transforms into something far more dangerous. Two broken souls with deadly secrets discover that sometimes the person you hate most is the one who understands you best. Welcome back, beautiful souls and romance lovers. Tonight, we bring you a tale where love is tested, secrets come to light, and fate takes an unexpected turn. Every moment will pull you in deeper, and every choice could change everything. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And if this story touches your heart, like, subscribe, share it with someone who believes in true love, and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter. The elevator cables groaned like dying animals as Sophia Chen pressed herself against the cold steel wall. 23 floors above, the Morrison Industries boardroom still echoed with her humiliation. James Morrison's presentation had been flawless, devastating, brilliant. Everything hers wasn't. The elevator lurched suddenly, throwing her off balance. Emergency lights flickered on, casting everything in hellish red. Then silence. Perfect, she whispered to the darkness. A soft chime announced another passenger. The doors slid open to reveal James Morrison himself, his $1,000 suit slightly rumpled, his usually perfect hair disheveled. For the first time since she'd known him, he looked almost human. Going down? His voice carried that familiar arrogance, but something else lurked beneath it. Exhaustion, maybe. Oh, guilt. As far as I can get from you? Sophia stabbed the garage button. James stepped inside, and the elevator seemed to shrink. She caught his scent, expensive cologne mixed with something sharper. Fear, perhaps. The doors sealed them in together. About today, he began. Save it. Sophia stared at the descending numbers. 15, 14, 13. The elevator shuddered violently. Lights died completely. In the absolute darkness, she heard James's sharp intake of breath. What just happened? Her voice cracked despite her effort to sound controlled. A small flame illuminated James's face as he flicked his lighter. The shadows danced across his features, making him look like a stranger. Looks like we're stuck. No. Sophia fumbled for her phone. No signal. No. Relax. These things happen. Don't tell me to relax. She pounded on the doors. Can't be trapped in here, not with you. What's that supposed to mean? She turned on him, fury blazing in the flickering light. Means you've already destroyed enough of my life for one day. James's lighter snapped shut, plunging them back into darkness. When he spoke, his voice was different, colder. You think I destroyed your life? Sophia, you have no idea what destruction looks like. Something in his tone made her blood freeze. This wasn't the privileged CEO's son she thought she knew. This was someone else entirely.
What are you talking about?
A long silence stretched between them. Then the lighter flicked on again, and James was smiling. But it wasn't the charming smile she'd seen in meetings. This one held secrets. Tell me, Sophia. What do you know about the Morrison family business? The real business? Her mouth went dry. What do you mean? I mean the part that doesn't appear in annual reports. The part that built this empire you're so eager to climb. The flame wavered in his hand, and for a moment, Sophia saw something terrible in his eyes. Something that suggested James Morrison wasn't just her professional rival, was something far more dangerous. Who are you? She whispered. The lighter went out again, and in the darkness, she heard him laugh. It was not a pleasant sound. That's the wrong question, Sophia. The right question is, who are you running from? Her heart stopped. Because somehow, impossibly, James Morrison had just asked the one question she'd spent 3 years in Chicago trying to escape. I don't know what you're talking about. Sophia's voice came out steadier than she felt. The lighter flared again. James was studying her face with the intensity of a predator. Your real name isn't Sophia Chen? The words hit her like physical blows. 3 years of carefully constructed identity crumbling in seconds. How do you know? 'Cause I make it my business to know. He shifted closer, and she caught the glint of something metallic in his jacket. Sarah Collins, from Denver, disappeared after testifying against the Kovac crime family. Sophia's legs gave out. She slid down the wall to the floor, her mind reeling. You're going to kill me. If I wanted you dead, you'd already be dead. James sat across from her in the cramped space. I said, the question is, why did Vincent Kovacs, accountant, end up working marketing at my father's company? Her hands were shaking. After all this time, all the running, someone had found her. Please, I have a new life now. I'm not that person anymore. No, you're not. His voice was surprisingly gentle. Sarah Collins was a scared little girl who made one mistake. Sophia Chen is a warrior who destroys people in conference rooms. I don't destroy people. You destroyed me today. She looked up, startled. What? That presentation you gave? It was perfect. Flawless data, market research, strategic planning. Everything I could never do. His laugh was bitter. I had to use emotional manipulation to win because I can't compete with your mind. But you're what? Privileged? Talented?
Howard?
I'm a fraud, Sophia. Everything about James Morrison is carefully constructed performance. The elevator groaned around them, and Sophia realized they were sharing something more dangerous than confined space. They were sharing truth. Then who are you really? James was quiet for so long she wondered if he'd heard her. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. I'm the son my father wishes had died instead of my brother. The words hung in the air like a confession.
Us?
Marcus was the real heir, the one who actually deserved to run Morrison Industries. But Marcus made the mistake of falling in love with the wrong woman, a woman connected to the Torino family. Sophia's. Blood-chilled, the Torinos were rivals to the Kovacs. Enemies who would kill for territory. My father had him eliminated. Made it look like a car accident. James's hands were trembling now. I've spent 5 years trying to fill the shoes of a dead man while pretending I don't know my father is a murderer. James. That's not even my real name. I'm Daniel Morrison. James died with Marcus, but I wear his identity like a mask because it's safer than being myself. The lighter went out again, and in the darkness, Sophia felt something fundamental shift between them. They weren't just trapped in an elevator anymore. They were trapped in a web of lies and violence that connected their lives in impossible ways. The Kovacs and the Torinos, she said slowly. They're not just crime families. They're competitors for the same territory. Chicago belongs to Morrison Industries on paper, but underneath it's a battleground. And we're both caught. In the middle. Worse than that. His voice was grim. Your testimony put Vincent Kovac in prison. But it also created a power vacuum the Torinos tried to fill. The war that's been raging for 3 years. It started with you. Sophia felt the world spinning. Around her, how many people have died? Dozens. Maybe more. She pressed her hands to her face, feeling the weight of unintended consequences crushing down on her. I just wanted to do the right thing. I know. James's hand found hers in the darkness. His touch was warm, solid, real. That's what makes you dangerous to people like my father. People who do the right thing, upset the balance of power. Is that why you noticed me? Because I was a threat? I noticed you because you were everything I'm not. Honest, brave, brilliant. His thumb traced across her knuckles. I noticed you because I was falling in love with you from the first day you walked into that conference room. The words hung between them like an exposed wire. Don't, she whispered. Too late. The elevator suddenly lurched, throwing them together. In the chaos of falling, Sophia found herself in James's arms, their faces inches apart in the darkness. She could feel his breath on her lips, could hear his heartbeat racing against her chest. Sophia, he whispered. Then the lights came. Back on, flooding the space with harsh fluorescent reality. The elevator resumed its descent with a mechanical hum. But neither of them moved away. Because over the intercom, a voice crackled to life. A voice that made Sophia's blood turn to ice. Hello, Sarah. It's time to come home. Vincent Kovac's voice filled the elevator like poison gas. Sophia's entire body went rigid in James's arms. I know you can hear me, Sarah. 3 years is a long time to wait, but patience is a virtue in my line of work. James immediately pressed himself against the control panel, his fingers flying over the buttons. He's hijacked the building's communication system. Impressive young man you've got there, Kovac's voice continued, sickeningly conversational. Though he's not quite who he claims to be, is he? Tell me, Daniel, does she know about the bodies you've buried for Daddy? Sophia stared at James, watching his face drain of color. What is he talking about? It's not what you think. Mr. Morrison Sr. has been cleaning house since his son's unfortunate accident. And Daniel here has been such an obedient little soldier, haven't you? Boy, stop, James said through gritted teeth. How many people have you killed, Daniel? 7? 8? I said stop. The elevator shuddered to a halt between floors. The lights flickered ominously. The beautiful thing about Chicago's power grid is how easily it can be manipulated, Kovac continued. We could keep you there for days, or we could send you plummeting to the basement. Your choice. Sophia pressed herself against the opposite wall, her mind reeling. Ash! You're a killer. No. James turned to her, desperation raw in his voice. I mean, yes, but not like he's making it sound. How many different ways are there to be a killer? Listen to me. James grabbed her shoulders. My father found out about my brother's relationship with Elena Torino after Marcus died. He made me hunt down everyone who knew, not to kill them, to relocate them, give them new identities, new lives. You're lying? I swear to you I have never killed an innocent person. But you've killed. What? His silence was answer enough. Oh, this is delicious. Kovac's voice dripped with amusement. Sarah Collins, the righteous whistleblower, falling for a contract killer. The irony is exquisite. What do you want? Sophia shouted at the ceiling. What I've always wanted, justice. You destroyed my empire, cost me millions of dollars, got me locked in a cage for 3 years. Now it's time to pay. The elevator began moving again, but upward now. Sophia watched the floor numbers climb with growing dread. Where are we going? The roof, James said quietly. He's going to make it look like a suicide, both of us. A tragic lover's pact. The disgraced heiress and the corrupt corporate prince, choosing death over exposure. Sophia felt hysteria bubbling up in her throat. This is insane. Welcome to my world. The elevator passed the 40th floor. 50, 60. James, Daniel, whoever you are. Sophia grabbed his hands. Is any of it real? Any of what you said down there? He looked at her with such raw honesty that it took her breath away. Every word. I love you, Sophia. I've loved you since the day you demolished the Hartley account with nothing but facts and fury. I've loved you through every sleepless night I spent making sure you were safe. Safe from what? From him? From my father? From the war you accidentally started? James's voice broke. I've been protecting you for 3 years, and you never even knew. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. The job at Morrison. Industries. The apartment in Lincoln Park. The identity that never got traced. All me. You've been watching me this whole time. I've been keeping you alive. The elevator hit the roof with a jarring stop. The doors opened to reveal the Chicago skyline stretching endlessly in all directions. Wind whipped through the space, cold and sharp. 3 men in expensive suits waited for them. Vincent Kovac stood in the center, older than his prison photos, but still radiating menace. Sarah Collins, he said warmly, like greeting an old friend. You look well. Chicago agrees with you. Let her go. James stepped in front of Sophia. This is between you and me, is it? Kovac smiled. See, I thought it was between me and the little girl who destroyed my life. But watching you two in that elevator has been enlightening. You care about her? Leave her out of this. I am afraid that's impossible, because she's going to help me send a message to your father. Kovac nodded to his men. They stepped forward, and Sophia saw guns glinting in the city lights. Here's how this works, Kovac continued. You're going to kill her, Daniel. Right here, right now. And then you're going to jump. No, or I'll make sure she dies slowly. Very slowly, while you watch. James was shaking with rage. You sick bastard. I'm a businessman. This is just business. Kovac held out a gun to James. The wind whipped around them, carrying the sounds of traffic far below. Take it. Stared at the weapon like it was a live snake. Take it, or she suffers. Sophia watched in horror as James reached for the gun. Their eyes met for one terrible moment. "I'm sorry," he whispered. But instead of pointing the gun at her, James spun and fired 3 shots in rapid succession. 2 of Kovac's men dropped instantly. Third dove for cover behind an air conditioning unit. "Run!" James shouted. Sophia bolted for the roof access door. Behind her, she heard more gunshots, shouting, the sound of a struggle. She made it 10 feet before she realized the terrible truth. The door was locked from the outside. They were trapped on the roof with a madman who wanted them both dead. James was bleeding onto the concrete, his gun skittering away in the wind. Blood pooled beneath James's body, dark against the concrete. Sophia pressed herself against the locked door, watching Vincent Kovac emerge from behind the air conditioning unit. His remaining gunmen flanked him, weapon trained on James's motionless form. "Touching," Kovac said, straightening his tie. "But ultimately pointless. Is he dead?" The words scraped from Sophia's throat. "Not yet, but soon." Kovac knelt beside James, checking his pulse with clinical detachment. "He'll live long enough to watch what happens to you." Sophia's mind raced through possibilities. The roof access was locked. The fire escape was on the far side of the building. 47 floors of empty air surrounded them. "You know what the beautiful thing about rooftops is, Sarah? Gravity always wins." "Wait." Sophia stepped forward, hands raised. "You want revenge? I'll give it to you, but not like this." "You want to destroy me? Take everything from me the way I took everything from you." She forced herself to meet his eyes. "Then you need me alive." Kovac tilted his head, intrigued. "Dead. I'm just another casualty. Another Chicago crime statistic. But alive and broken. I'm a message. Keep talking. I know things. About the Morrison family business. About the Torino operations. About federal investigations that haven't been made public yet." The lies came easily now, flowing like water. "Kill me, and you get nothing. Spare me, and I'll give you everything." Tempting. But I've waited 3 years for this moment. You can wait a little longer for something better than revenge. You can have power. Behind Kovac, she saw James's eyes flutter open. He was conscious, listening. Their gazes met for a split second before he closed his eyes again, pretending unconsciousness. "What kind of power?" Kovac asked. "The kind that comes from having a federal witness in your pocket. The kind that comes from knowing which investigators are getting close to which operations." It was working. She could see the greed flickering. In Kovac's eyes, of course there would be conditions, she continued, such as James lives. "The war between you and the Morrisons ends. And you give me 48 hours to arrange a proper exchange. You're not in a position to make demands, Sarah. Actually, I am." Sophia pulled out her phone. "Because I've been recording this entire conversation. I just sent it to 3 different newspapers." Kovac's face went white with rage. "How you're lying. Check your sources. See if the Tribune gets an interesting audio file in about 5 minutes." The gunman stepped forward, but Kovac held up a hand. "You clever little bitch. I learn from the best." Sophia glanced meaningfully at James. 48 hours. Then we meet at Navy Pier. Public place. Lots of witnesses. You get your information, I get guarantees. And if you run, where am I going to go? You found me once. You'll find me again. Kovac considered this for a long moment. Wind whipped across the rooftop, carrying the sounds of the city far below. 48 hours, he agreed finally. But if you're not there, if you try to run, if you contact the FBI, he smiled coldly. I'll burn down half of Chicago finding you. Understood. Kovac nodded to his gunmen. They backed toward the elevator, keeping their weapons trained on. The roof, and Sarah? Kovac paused at the elevator doors. If your boyfriend dies from blood loss before our meeting, the deal's off. The elevator doors closed with mechanical finality. Sophia immediately dropped to her knees beside James. His shirt was soaked with blood, and his breathing was shallow. How bad? She whispered. Bad enough. He struggled to sit up. But not fatal. Bullet went through my shoulder, missed everything. Important. We need to get you to a hospital. No hospitals. Too many questions. He winced as she helped him to his feet. There's a safe house in Chinatown. Medical supplies. James Daniel. My name is Daniel. They made it to the elevator, James leaning heavily against her. As the doors closed, Sophia realized something that made her stomach drop. I didn't record anything, she said. I know. I don't have any federal information. I know that too. So what happens in 48 hours? Daniel looked at her with eyes that had gone cold and calculating. We disappear. New identities, new lives. There's a boat leaving from Milwaukee tomorrow night, and Kovac gets exactly what he deserves. The elevator descended in silence until Sophia realized what he meant. You're going to kill him. I'm going to end this war permanently. That's not who you are. Daniel's laugh was bitter. You still don't understand. I've killed 17 people, Sophia. All of them to protect you. All of them because I fell in love with a woman I was supposed to be monitoring. The words hit her like physical blows. You were sent to watch me? 3 years ago, my father ordered me to find Vincent Kovac's missing accountant. Make sure she stayed quiet, by any means necessary. And instead you fell in love. Created a new identity for you. Killed anyone who got too close to discovering your location. The voice was flat, matter of fact. I've been your guardian angel and your greatest threat for 3 years. The elevator opened on the parking garage. Outside, Chicago glittered like broken glass. Everything between us, Sophia whispered. Was it all part of the job? Daniel turned to her, and for a moment, his mask slipped completely. That's the hell of it, Sophia. It started as a job, but somewhere along the way, it became the only real thing in my life. He pulled her close, and she let him, despite everything. Despite the lies, the blood, the impossible situation they were trapped in. In 46 hours, Vincent Kovac will be dead, he whispered against her hair, and we'll be free. But as they walked into the Chicago night, Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that freedom would cost them more than either of them was prepared to pay. Navy Pier stretched into Lake Michigan like a concrete finger pointing toward oblivion. Sophia stood at the end of the dock watching pleasure boats cut through water that reflected the setting sun like blood. In her purse was the gun Daniel had given her. In her heart was the knowledge that everything she thought she knew about love was about to shatter. Daniel emerged from the shadows behind her, moving like smoke despite his injured shoulder. 46 hours had transformed him from the corporate prince she'd fallen for into something predatory and dangerous. He's here, he said quietly. Vincent Kovac walked down the pier flanked by 6 men, all trying to look like tourists while failing to hide the bulges under their jackets. The evening crowd provided perfect cover for what was about to happen. You're sure about this? Sophia asked. I've never been more sure of anything. But when she looked into Daniel's eyes, she saw something that made her blood freeze. Man who had held her in a safe house apartment for 2 days, who had made love to her like the world was ending, who had whispered promises of a new life together, was gone. In his place was someone else entirely. Someone who looked at her like she was just another problem to solve. Daniel? It's time. Kovac stopped 20 feet away, his men spreading out in a loose semicircle. Sarah, he called out cheerfully, you look lovely. Ready to discuss our arrangement? I have what you want, she replied, her voice steady, despite the hammering of her heart. Excellent, and I have what you want, he gestured to his men. Your freedom, your life, your boyfriend's continued existence. About that. Daniel stepped forward, and Sophia saw the subtle shift in his posture that meant violence was seconds away. There's been a change of plans. Something cold touched the base of Sophia's skull. Has there now? Kovac's voice was amused. The gun pressed harder against her head, and Sophia realized with crystal clarity that she had been betrayed in the most fundamental way possible. The barrel belonged to Daniel.
Nice.
You see, Vincent, my father made me a better offer. Daniel, what are you doing? The words came out as a whisper. What I was always going to do. His voice was conversational, almost bored. Complete the job. Kovac began to laugh. Oh, this is delicious. You actually thought he loved you? He does love me. But even as she said it, Sophia knew it wasn't true. Or rather, it was true in a way that made it infinitely worse. "I do," Daniel confirmed, and the gun trembled slightly against her skull. "That's what makes this so hard. And don't do it. I have to. Because if I don't, my father will kill. Us both anyway. At least this way. You die quick." The pier had grown quiet around them. Even the tourists seemed to sense that something terrible was about to happen. 3 years, Sophia said. 3 years of protecting me just to kill me. Yourself? 3 years of falling in love with someone I was always going to have to destroy. Daniel's voice broke slightly. "Do you have any idea what that does to a person? So, choose differently." "There is no choice. There never was." Kovac clapped his hands together, touching. "But I believe we had a deal, Mr. Morrison. We did." Daniel's grip shifted on the gun. "You leave Chicago? Forever. And I give you Sarah Collins. Daniel, please, I'm sorry." But instead of pulling the trigger, Daniel shoved Sophia violently to the side. She hit the pier's railing hard as gunfire erupted around them. Daniel wasn't shooting her. He was shooting Kovac's men. The pier exploded into chaos. Tourists screamed and ran as bullets flew. Sophia crawled behind a concrete planter, her mind reeling from the betrayal that wasn't a betrayal, the sacrifice that looked like treachery. Through the chaos, she saw Daniel moving like a dancer through the gunfire. 3 of Kovac's men went down before they could draw their weapons. 2 more fell as they tried to flank him. But there were too many of them. A bullet caught Daniel in the chest, spinning him around. Another took him in the leg. He fell hard against the pier railing, blood spreading across his shirt like spilled wine. Kovac emerged from behind cover, his own gun drawn. Touching display, but ultimately futile. Daniel looked up at him with eyes that held no fear. "Maybe, but I got what I wanted, which was time." The sniper's bullet took Kovac in the head before he could respond. His body crumpled to the pier like discarded clothing. Daniel's father emerged from the shadows with a rifle and a smile that belonged in hell. "Hello, son. Feeling better?" Sophia stared in horror as Thomas Morrison approached his dying son with casual indifference. The whole thing was a setup, she realized. Of course it was. Thomas knelt beside Daniel, checking his pulse with clinical detachment. Vincent Kovac was getting sloppy in his old age. He actually believed my son had gone rogue, but Daniel was protecting me. Daniel was following orders. Very specific orders to gain your trust, learn your secrets, and deliver you to precisely this moment. The world tilted around Sophia. "You're lying, am I?" Thomas looked at her with amusement. "Tell me, my dear, did he ever actually say he loved you without an audience? Did he ever make a move that wasn't exactly what you needed to trust him completely?" She thought back through 48 hours of intimacy and revelation, searching for a moment of authenticity, and found nothing but perfectly orchestrated manipulation. "Even now," Thomas continued, "he's not trying to save you. He's completing the mission." Daniel's eyes met hers across the blood-soaked pier. In them, she saw something that might have been love, and might have been the greatest performance of his life. "Sophia," he whispered, "the boat, Pier 7, go, not leaving you. You have to, because the mission isn't over." Thomas Morrison raised his rifle, pointing it not at Daniel but at her.
"Sorry, my dear, but you know too much about two."
"Many things, nothing personal." The gunshot echoed across the water, but it wasn't Thomas Morrison who fired. Daniel had found the strength to reach one final weapon. His father collapsed beside him, blood spreading from a chest wound that would be fatal within minutes. "Go!" Daniel gasped. Now, Sophia ran. Behind her she heard sirens approaching, shouting, the sounds of Chicago collapsing into chaos. She made it to Pier 7 as the boat was pulling away. Captain helped her aboard without questions, and they disappeared into Lake Michigan as police cars flooded Navy Pier. Hours later, sitting in a cabin as Wisconsin's shoreline passed by in the darkness, Sophia found Daniel's final gift to her, a new passport, a bank account with enough money to disappear forever in a single note. "The only real thing was loving you, even when I wasn't supposed to, even when it meant destroying everything else. Find a better life than the one I gave you. You deserve more than loving a monster." She burned the note as they crossed in two. International waters. 3 months later, in a small cafe in Prague, Sophia Chen ceased to exist. The woman who replaced her had no past, no corporate ambitions, no dead lovers bleeding on Chicago piers. She had only the future and the knowledge that sometimes love is the most dangerous game of all. Sometimes the person who saves you is the same person who destroys you. Sometimes that's the only way to be free. The end.